doing?
Well, hello all. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the grown folks table. Are you all ready to have some grown folks conversation tonight?
Let's do
Yes,
it.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, my name is Elisha V. Cash, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host tonight, and we're ready to dive into some deep conversation about what's going on in the world. I am the founder and president of the National Women's Empowerment Ministry, and I am also the author of the Little Red Networking book. Joyce, we can't hear you.
I think
well, for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, we're going to introduce ourselves. And Libby, why don't you jump in on next until Joyce's mic is working?
Hello, everyone. While Joyce is coming off mute, I am Dr. Libya Bakar, and I am the owner and founder of Sugar Plum Events. I'm also the founder of the annual Girlfriends Brunch. It is a brunch that we host every New Year's Day. I'm also an assistant pastor at Trinity AME Church here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm also a professional baker, just a woman with many hats.
All right. And I'm Vicki B. Turner. I am an elected official. I sit on the DeKalb County Board of Education. My husband and I, Robert Turner, we have an initiative in DeKalb County called DeKalb Cultural Exchange, where we bring relevant issues to our community to empower us. We also operate in ministry. Looking forward to a great night, ladies.
And I am Becky A. Davis, also known as the Chief Bosspreneur. I am the founder of the Bosspreneur Business Circle. That is a membership platform for Black women entrepreneurs who are online educators to help them take the guesswork out of making 5 to 6 figure months. And I'm excited about tonight's conversation.
Well, Becky, I'm so glad you're excited about tonight's conversation because I am too. Many of you are, if you're not aware, you're going to be aware that a rumor has it. Now, this is just what the street committee has. Rumor has it that Ice Cube has joined forces with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And so this rumor has created an uproar within the African-American community. There's so much back and forth in regards to Ice Cube's responses and really the response that came out of the White House. And so before I weigh in any of my thoughts about it, I just want to I want to get a brother a chance, because I've been an Ice Cube fan for a long time now. I'm just saying. Anybody else like Ice Cube? I mean, he's very easy on the eyes.
Yes. Listen,
I love Ice Cube.
I love Ice Cube. Y'all go ahead and tell me what y'all feel.
Who wants to jump in?
No.
Go ahead, Vic.
Well, I try to keep things. My husband does listen to our show, so I'm not gonna deal with how he looks, okay? I think Rob is the cutest. He's the cutest. But I want to stay married.
Fine, Vicky.
Yes.
I guess, and I don't like starting out the conversation because I feel some kind of way about the news that we've heard with regards to Ice Cube. And while we've enjoyed his artistry over the years, I'm just kind of suspect about anybody that gets in bed with those that I consider that are contrary, that are negative to the benefits of our community. And so I'm very suspect, and I can come across as probably very strongly opinionated about those that would sell their birthright for a bowl of beans. And so yet I find that happening quite a bit in the times that we're living in. I think it's quite interesting that for such a time as this, that it came out. And it looks like he didn't necessarily release the information, but somebody else released the information. So sometimes we can get a little bit confused about the pomp and the circumstance that it's really going to benefit our community. Because after all, we have had 4 years for the benefits of our community to have been improved. And now all of a sudden we get a contract for Black America. And this is the answer that's going to set us all free. I'm just on the fence, ladies. And so I'm not feeling this connection. But I hear my grandmother. She said, birds of a feather, they flock together. So I'm just thinking about my grandmother's old adage. So you all may enlighten me a little better. And so I'm trying to remain open, but I put it out there.
I think the biggest question tonight is how much influence do entertainers really have on what the Black community feel and think, you know. So I think before we can really dive into the move that Ice Cube made, that we should, you know, kind of dive into that. Like, how much does the entertainment world really have on the Black community and the way they feel and they think?
I think we, for all of us, have been given a platform, and I've said it before, even about the grown folks table. Each one of us have a platform, and that platform consists of influence. And so either we use it for good, either we use it for systemic change, or we use it to profit ourselves. So I think everyone, and Ice Cube has been given a tremendous platform because he has an audience of those that listen. He has an audience of those that enjoy his artistry. But do we use it for good, or do we use it for that which only profits ourselves?
George, you want to jump in? You can go ahead and introduce yourself and jump right on in. Let the people know you're here.
Hi, I'm Joyce Littell, host of The Quiet Storm on V103 and brand manager of News and Talk 1380 WAOK. One thing that I wanted to say is I think when it comes to celebrity, you know, everybody uses celebrity because of the exposure that they have and the interest that people have in them. And celebrity also uses that. Whenever they can have and get an opportunity to make some things happen, that's what they use. And Ice Cube did that. He used his celebrity to, you know, try to make some noise. I personally think he did it at the wrong time, but because I don't see Trump supporting it. But I see them using him for his celebrity.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing on most occasions. And in this occasion, I think it's just a bad thing because there are so many people who are asking for the same thing and not getting that door open. But because he's Ice Cube, because he's a celebrity, because we know him, then he gets the opportunity to be heard. So, you know, celebrity is used all the time on everything. I mean, when people promote things, if there's a celebrity attached to it, that's who they're going to say going to come, regardless to whoever else will be on the panel, be in the audience, or be there. They are going to announce that celebrity first. So if people love them, they're going to want to follow them. And I think that's the good and the bad of celebrity.
So let me ask the question: would it have been? What do people not want any Black person, celebrity wise, to have conversations specifically with the Trump administration about making our lives better? Just like no conversation. That's not just talk. What's your thoughts on that? Because I think somebody got to say something, and somebody got to step in.
I think
it happened with. Go ahead.
I think if you can get the foot in the door, yes. But I think it's who he got to. I don't think it's just me personally. I just don't think he is utilizing what Cube's intent is to really benefit us in it, in the long run. I think he's using it to say to the people that love and follow him, look who's coming on our side, or look who is with our camp.
So
That
if he
happened with
is,
Steve.
it did happen with Steve. So what if let's say that is the scenario and he is doing that. If Cube's plan helps us, do we say we don't want it to help us as long as Trump is a part of it? We rather keep the same system that we currently have just because it's Cube that he is having a conversation with?
If I can jump in, this is what I think. There's nothing wrong with having that conversation, and there's nothing wrong with being able to list out what the Black agenda is. The problem here is who said that he speaks for us. A. B is, what is his ulterior motive? Hey D, and you're speaking my mind, D, in your comments.
Yes.
I think the problem with this is that timing is everything. Why didn't we see this initiative when all of these Democrats were running? That was a great time to put this agenda on the table to see, out of all those candidates, who would actually get behind that agenda. Here is the thing. He's only been offered, allegedly, this $500 billion allegedly for all the things that are outlined. If you look at the contract and the things that they're asking for, they're not going to give that to us. Sorry about the doorbell. They're not going to give that to us. Amazon is coming, y'all, because I'm ordering stuff. But they're not going to give that to us. So I do agree that we do need to get some things on the table, and we need to get on the table with those. But here's what he said. He said, and he really wasn't very clear. That's what got me. He didn't say when the $500 billion will be allocated.
When you say he, which he?
He being Ice Cube.
Okay.
His conversations about it, the interviews and stuff that he had. He didn't say how they will be distributed. No, there's a contract. It did not say when they will be distributed and which programs would certain amounts be allocated for. Problem with that. Problem number two is, well, really I'm on three, because one was that he did it during this time. But number three is going to be, okay, so you put all of this together and you say all of this money, but you haven't been clear about exactly really what you want. You keep saying somebody to put money on the table. Okay, you got money on the table, but then you turn around and say, well, I don't believe he's going to do it. I don't believe we're going to get it. I don't believe either one of them. Then you said, no matter who's in the office, we still got to put the pressure on them. Okay, so why do you need it now? So why you got a problem with Biden them saying, well, wait, if we get in office, then we can sit down and have this meeting about whatever this Black agenda is. What's the big deal between now and then? And to me, it sounds crazy because you're not supporting any candidate. When Tigger asked you on V103, when he said to you, he said, so what you want the Black people to know? What is it you want the Black people to do? So which candidate do you think would really give us what you're asking for? He could not answer that question. So why are you doing this with him? Because here's the thing, what he's asking for in that contract is nothing new than what people in Congress have been asking for. It's nothing new than what the grassroots people have been asking for. And my thing is, you keep saying you're not getting behind Trump, that you're just trying to talk to both sides. But here's my problem with that. To me, you sounded like that you're trying to get us to convince to go with this other side. Now, vote how you want to, vote your conscience. That's always been my opinion. But don't come at 20-something days out.
Yeah.
20-something days out and put this out there to cause people to vacillate. This is not the time to do that. You could have done that a long time ago. We've had 4 years of this man. Why do you think?
Yeah, but this came about because of after George Floyd. This came about because of Black Lives Matter. This came about because of all of the killings and everything that transpired this year. So it wasn't. Yeah, he had plenty of time, but all of us have had things that we had to look at different since George Floyd, and that's where he said, just watching he said, George Floyd, that did it for me. And we've always been fighting, but this whole plan came out because of the George Floyd issue. And you're right, like all of these other people have put plans forth. Why is it that his plan is getting more visibility than those politicians? Because people are not trusting more of them than him.
It's because Trump's camp has put this out. That's the reason it's getting attention. Yeah. And Trump's camp is trying to get the black. Yeah, but he's trying to get the black vote. So of course it's going to gather all the attention. Here's the thing: I don't buy the fraggle-naggle BS happened because after George Floyd, that is some who shot John. Because we done had the Trayvon Martin thing. No offense to George Floyd, but it was just as huge. Where was Ice Cube?
There you go.
Where was Ice Cube?
Where was Ice Cube? But I want to weigh in and say, I agree with Becky, because although the Trayvon Martin thing happened, you didn't have the world,
right?
The world movement. Black Lives Matter was impacting the world. We were shut down. We were in a pandemic. So we're talking about Kairos moments. Yes, it did happen with Trayvon Martin, but this was a different moment and a different movement where we were completely shut down, a pandemic where the world was paying attention to what was happening. And then also we have to think about, I don't know if you all remember, we had another discussion. Matter of fact, Dee was on with us when we were talking about it. And I said, it's going to come to a time where where's the black agenda? Who has it? What is our ask? We need to make sure that our ask is in the hands of the Harris and Biden campaign. And here was my reason why. Because when I came back, I talked about the percentage of African-American men that were not very excited about the Biden-Harris ticket. And the reason was because their agenda wasn't speaking to their needs. And so we need to tweak Biden and Harris. Biden and Harris had an opportunity to tweak their agenda to make sure that it matched the percentage of African-American men and Hispanics that were not sold out to the vote. We have to realize, like we talked about the last time, that some people are not just like, okay, Trump, if it's not Trump, then it got to be Biden. No, people are really looking at if their needs being met. And so I think that on their agenda, they have to address some of the African-American men needs, because if not, that's why Cube came out. If you look at Cube's, what he has identified, what he written out with the contract with Black America, it addressed a lot of issues that pertain to African-American men. It talks about economic, Black economic standpoint. It talks about Black businesses. It talks about the wealth gap. Black men talk about the wealth gap all the time. The Black tax. That's what we talk about all the time. That's barbershop talk all the time. We cannot leave them out. Okay.
But
I agree,
Vicky. You know what? Look at the timing of this. That's why I feel like I do. Where has Q been? He's not been the forefront of a movement. He's not, where has he been? Why now? 20 days out, 20-something days out. That puts anybody suspect. And who, I think Becky said it, somebody, when did he become?
I think they leaked it. They leaked it on purpose. But I don't think he's
become our spokesman. When did Ice Cube become our spokesman?
But I don't think that's
when we don't identify a group or individual. If we don't get behind a group or individual to say this group speaks for the African American community, then anybody can speak from them. Such as Kanye West. I mean, we just have to be very clear of who speaks for the African American community. We refuse to identify individuals because everybody want to speak. Yes. Every group want to speak. We refuse to get behind the best person, one group, one voice, to say this person speaks for the African American community and for the Black agenda.
Well, but see, I think here is the thing that we have to contend with that I think that we're not thinking about. We're in a social media age. There's no longer get behind one person because the social media age won't allow it. People are going to be speaking out via their platforms, and that's going to happen. And truth be told, that's okay. I think the real issue is that we have to we should not rely on that is an older age too. That we're gonna have one person that like the Martin Luther King days, that day is really gone. There are multiple voices in the movement now that we have to respect, and those multiple voices have been pushing the very same things that are listed in that contract. Let me just say this. I am all for what he has in that contract. I am 100% in agreement with the things that were listed out. I'm in agreement with the numbers in terms of that we are boxed into the minority title, that group. What happens is we do get lost in the sauce and some of the things we do not receive. I certainly agree with that. My issue here is that if you're going to come out with this, and I think, like you said, it forced him to get out and have to talk about it. And you can tell when he's talking that there's a rattling in his voice. He's not very strong in it to me. So I think if you're going to do this, you're going to have to tell us exactly what you want us to do. He hasn't done that. He keeps saying we need to be independent and get our own candidate, get our own party. Hey, 20-some days out, sir, 20-some days out, sir. Get our own party.
I don't think he expected this. I really don't. I think just by his influence, he was just going in there. I don't think he knew that these people were going to expect what they expect from his actions, because he's never played in that platform before. Now, if you put Killer Mike up there, Killer Mike will come at you because he's played in the platform before. Ice Cube hasn't. So I don't think he was actually ready for all that was all the people that were coming after him. I was watching Roland Martin prior to us going on air, and he was on there. And he was a little nervous and shaky with Roland Martin. But Roland Martin been
Roland ain't playing.
I would be scared too if I had
Yeah, he ain't. I mean, go back and look at it. And then he had this sister who's been a part of the movement for 20 years, for a very long time. And so she had, I mean, and she came the same way. She said, everything that you are talking about is what we have been trying to do. We just hadn't had a chance to get our foot in the door like you did. Yeah. And because he has gotten his foot in the door, Ice Cube just wasn't ready for the fire. I mean, and that's just the bottom line. Yes, it's conversation that needs to be talked about, and it's something that we deserve, as a community. But I just don't think he is the person and was ready to bring it to the table. And because of that, I think it's just a chance for that party to use the moment. That's just how I feel about it.
I agree with you. I agree with you in that him not being ready. But what like Vicky said, well, where was Ice Cube when? I think that's the part, because I could say, where was I when? And it's like situations and things happen in an individual's lives to say, okay, I'm gonna do something here, and they might have sat down and could have done some years, but there's something that Spark said, I am going to do something. So I think it's unfair when someone comes to the table, we were like, well, you wasn't here last year, but I'm here now. I'm here to try to do what I can now. If that means opening a little door, then let me open the little door. But this is what keeps some of those celebrities and those people that have influence, this kind of keeps them from coming forward, because we're gonna attack them and wear them out if they do come forward with anything. Then it's like throw in the towel, like, man, forget it. You try to help, and so we gotta come up with another way to say, I get it. I think the timing sucks. It is horrible for it to be happening right now before this election. And if the exact same thing was past the election, probably would feel a little different about it. But I too have looked at his plan. I like his plan. I like the things that he has talked about. I like the doors that it has made people start having a conversation that was not having. We started asking for things. Alicia, you're right. You said we don't have an ask. Well, he's put an ask out there, and it's a good ask. And I think it's because of Trump wanting to get a whole lot of other stuff in on top of this the black people gonna come now. We got to know Trump's little trick, and we got to know, okay, the Cube new in the game, then maybe our tweet should be like, hey, Cube, you need to get some help, dude. Hey, Cube, why don't you reach out? As opposed to, man, you suck. We forget you.
But you know what, Becky, let me say this, and I do agree with pretty much what you said. But you don't start building the house until you first sit down and take account of the cost. You understand? Just because you're a celebrity, you don't get into bed with a skilled, proficient, prolific, charming a politician, okay? You don't do that. I don't care if you may have the best of intention, but you don't go in ill-advised. He used his celebrity, I think, at the wrong time, ill-advised. And so now the repercussions that are coming at him are tremendous. I'm not saying that he doesn't have some valid things that he wants to bring to our community, but baby, you don't go in to fight a lion and you just go in with your wrapping clothes on. You just don't do that, okay? They eat you up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's what is happening, not just in your town, but in our community, because he's never surfaced in this way as being a vocal advocate for our community. So I think he went in ill-advised, and that's why he's getting eaten up.
Mm-hmm. I think all jokes aside and everything aside, I think he does have good intentions in what he's saying and what he's doing. Granted, he may have that. Or he could have his own agenda. I don't know. I can't say because I don't know things that he's trying to do. I know that he himself wanted to run for some point. But I think for me, again, I have to question anybody's motives when the timing is doing a crucial part of a push. When you're 20 days out, and I'm a big person that if you put any details on the table for me to look at, to decide from, I need you to tell me what is it that you're trying to obtain. He hasn't been able to explain that for me. Are you wanting me to have time to have critical thinking? Is it that you want me to analyze how my Black vote has been used? Are you wanting me just to sign the contract so that we can have some kind of pressure and influence? Because he did say that he thought if he put this out there, that he would get from the Biden-Harris camp them running to him to do something. So was that the agenda, to get them to do more for the Black vote? And when you didn't get it, you received a call from the camp, or you were solicited from the other camp, and you decided to have the conversation with them. And because you are a person of entertainment, a person of business, I am as well. And and he said it in his interview that we know money talks and everything else doesn't. And that's what he said. So is it because that the $500 billion was laid down on the table that you felt that something transpired in that moment because there was a dollar amount placed there, but there was no action? And so I'm just, my thing is, I've listened to all of his interviews today. That's what I did today. I listened to all of them. And he's saying the same thing. And my only problem with it, contract on his face by itself, wonderful. It's great. It's what we need to be pushing for. And I agree with him that we need to press whoever is not only in the executive seat, but I also need him to understand we need to do the same pressure for the legislative seats and these local seats, because guess what? That executive person sitting in the chair cannot do anything to change policy of what he's talking about in terms of prison reform, in terms of the financial piece, and all the stuff he has listed in the contract. None of that can move with that money unless the Congress votes it in and agrees with a vote. So if we don't have the Congress, do you think the Republican Congress is going to go with the contract? that they willy-nilly president decided to put $500 billion Thomas on? Hell no. Hell
Well,
no.
well, we know Trump is a liar, though. He's a
Yeah,
liar.
But his party,
We don't know
is the
what
party
we're
going to
doing.
do what he's trying to get? That's the question.
Yeah,
Trying to get this, but was the party at the table?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the fact to me, and this is what I like about what Ice Cube did, was the fact that you got to write the vision and make it plain. And what written document or agenda or ask have we seen, from the Biden-Harris
Nobody.
text to say that we're committed to doing this for the African American community? We have to come back to that. And so we can. And I hear what you're saying, Vicky, about timing, because timing is everything, and making sure that you speak to someone in the political scene to best advise you on when. Okay, but if not now, when?
When?
But I don't like the fact, like Libby said, you have so many people that are already on the fence about voting, and this is just not the time, and that piece right back on it. But we still cannot wait till afterwards to be like, oh yeah, and by the way, here go our agenda. No, boo, we want you to know going in the gate that this is our ask. And so I didn't wait to ask about this ask right now, 23 days. I asked, well, where was the Black agenda? Because see, President Trump came out with his platinum plan, talking about he was Juneteenth, a national holiday, all this other stuff. That wasn't no real platinum plan. He came out with a platinum.
We didn't ask for that. That's not what we asked for.
These are some legitimized asks. And so,
But you know what?
Number one, to adopt a plan of neo-reconstruction to reduce past wrong systems radically imposed on Black Americans economically throughout many generations. And it talks about filling in the wealth gap. Well, we've been needing that for years. So, we didn't get it in the last administration. Why not put it on the table? Write the vision. Let's write the vision and make it plain. And we talked about those radical Democrats that are out, or liberal Democrats, that are out there that are waiting to hear some real answers. And we have to make sure that we address their concerns as well.
But now these are two questions I want to put on the table. Two questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Can you trust Trump?
No, I don't trust Trump.
That's one.
Okay.
That's one. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. I know it's almost rhetorical.
Yes.
And I'm saying, is all money good money?
It's not. I am not a man in anything Ice Cube did with meeting with Trump. I know there is a strong Black folks don't care nothing about no Donald Trump, and so that's why they are furious right now, because it's like, okay, you get the knife out of my back. That's what they really feel like, get the knife out of my back. But I also understand the fact that, I don't want to say cockiness or the nonchalant from the Biden-Harris ticket to say, okay, let's put that on the shelf right now and we'll come back to that later. No, we have some concerns too. If it was the LGBT community, you would be addressing their needs.
And you know what?
Well, I think because they had a plan out too.
Yeah,
already.
I think that with the timing, we know that's going to make some type of impact, or is a possibility that'll make an impact. But any kind of negotiation right now, Trump is in a hard spot. And so if you're going to negotiate to get anything, you negotiate when I got leverage. We, as a community, we got a little leverage right now to be able to say, here's some things that we want. Because after the election, he ain't got to do none of it. He won't even think about this conversation, because I don't need no votes, no more. I can't run again. So having to be able to, like, we got to do something. I believe me, I think Trump opens up his mouth, a lie fall out. He opened up his eyes, and I mean, it's just automatic, and lie just come out his mouth. We know that's who he is. But I do think even Ice Cube sitting down to have a conversation or to negotiate, I don't think anything about that was wrong in having a conversation, because Steve got attacked the same way too. It's like, oh, well, can anybody sit down and say, here's what we need? If we don't even tell them what we need or what we want, then we get what they say, what they think we need. And they think we need a holiday on Juneteenth. Nah, I need some reparations.
Right. Here's the thing.
I agree with you.
Becky, would you have liked Ice Cube to ask permission first? Would you have liked him to go on, let's say, all of the black networks and say, here's what my agenda is. I would like an opportunity to sit down with the Trump administration. Will anybody get behind me on that? Would that
what he did do? He did go on platforms and say what his platform was and said, I don't care which side I talk to. I don't care which side but this information needs to get out. They need to hear some demands from us. He said, I'm waiting on somebody. So he was on show after show after show. And because it started to get some traction, that's when, because he said both parties have reached out to me, not one, both of them have reached out to me, and both of them wanted to sit down. And we've talked to both of them. So he didn't ask us what we thought, but he was talking to them. And my gut just says he talked to someone, because for Cube to come up with this plan as detailed as it is, he got somebody that he working with to come up with this stuff, because it is some really.
Cory Booker name is on part of it. It's just the Cory Booker name is like on number 2 or number 3. So
then that's who he should have been talking to.
Well, so Becky,
if he didn't already.
Becky, where was he 6 months ago? Where was he 3 months ago? Why now? I'm telling you, it's almost like it's a ploy of the other camp to confuse our people. Right. Even with this thing, and I think this is a great segue, I think, into Shaq O'Neal. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to contain myself.
Help us hold it.
Let it out.
Becky, pray for me.
You let it out. Let it out on that one.
How do you have been blessed with the platform you have, the exposure you have, and believe in education, went back to finish it, and people look up to you, young people, and you come out and say this is your first time voting? And that means to me, ladies, he didn't even vote for Barack Obama.
Listen.
I don't have words. I don't. Yes, what do you use your celebrity for? To tell somebody to get the newest tennis shoe to pay $500 for, to tell somebody they need to get a Lamborghini. What do you use your celebrity for? And now you poke your chest out and say, I'm just voting for the first time. Oh my God, how appalling.
Well,
you put more into pledging Omega Psi Phi in voting. Can I help you right there?
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that was
you know what that tells me, what that makes me feel is that you felt like your life was so good you didn't see our issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Wow.
Good, that's good, Becky. That's good. Becky.
Your life was good. People. You're right. Right.
That's good.
Oh, this is.
I want to choke him, y'all. I'm telling you.
And he has.
I've met him. I had the privilege of meeting him in one of our schools, and he came, and those children, those middle schoolers, they were just so, enamored with him. And he was doing wonderful things. And Lord, had I known, I would have pounced on him.
And he has children. He has children, and I'm sure nieces and nephews.
Yes.
Thing is, what are you saying to them? What are you saying to your children and your nieces and nephews about this?
Yes.
The symbolism is that, and I think Becky said it perfectly. That you have been completely disconnected to the plight of your own people.
Yes.
And what a slap in the face it is to your ancestors, and even not even we didn't go way back, but even to your own grandparents,
Come
to
on.
your mother, to your father. What a slap in the face it is to your great aunts and your great uncles that you got into your own privilege. And you've decided that your privilege was so comfortable and great that you don't even have to be a part of a democratic process that helps the rest of your own people.
Yes.
So which leads me to try to wonder, what do you do? Do you do a lot of work in our communities, or do you want to just throw up the cute sci-fi sign and have another notch on your belt to be walking around thinking that you're somebody when at this point that's the lowest? So what? But some people say it was courageous. There are people who are saying that it was courageous for him to be able to come out and be able to say that he had never done it before and he's seen the light.
Oh my God!
But they did. I watched the Red Table Talk where Jada had Ice Cube, and she had another guy who's in the NBA. Now the thing that was now Shaq was one thing, but when they gave the numbers that of Black people that are in the NBA and the percentage of voters was like over 70-80% did not vote. And then the guy that was on there was like, he was a voter. He said it was his first time voting too. And he was talking about how, he never thought about it and he took it for granted. Or when he got down there, it was so much more than he thought. He didn't know he was going to, I thought I was just going to vote for the president, but you got to vote for all these other people. I didn't know that. And, so now the NBA, because the NBA put a big move on voter registration, that's the only thing that heightened these heightens, and that made a lot of, I know it made a lot of other people mad, because Stephen A., who I don't care for, made a statement on CNN talking about I don't want to hear what they got to say. If they ain't out there to vote when inside of your area where you Black 90% of players are Black, and you can't even go and take care of this. And he was dogging them out. But that part, because they said NBA, not a team, a high percentage of Black players in the NBA has not voted.
You know what, Becky?
Bad commentary.
Becky, I'm not being overly dramatic about this. It makes me want to cry.
It does.
Because I'm happy for these young men who broke the mold and their skills got them to this place. I'm happy. I'm happy that they can live the kind of lives that their ancestors only dreamed of. And that you telling me, somebody put it in our chat here, disconnected from your identity.
Yes.
That's what has happened. That's a powerful statement. That here, and I always look at all children. I know my oldest son, he really thought he was the next Michael Jordan. Now, I'm telling you, y'all, he thought he was all that. And my husband had to have a come to meet Jesus. Son, I've seen you play.
Listen,
and I'm telling you, son, nobody's knocking on the door for you, so you better get right? I respect my son, a 43-year-old man, more, because at least he understands the power of the vote.
Yeah.
He understands the power. For my grandmother, who lived to be 103 years old, how dare we connect from our community?
Let me tell you, I had to go online to find it. It says 20% of the eligible NBA players voted in the last election.
Wow.
Well, one of the things that really bothered me about Shaquille O'Neal, number one, that he's 48, and then number two, in 2007, he was in 2007. He was trying to run for sheriff, and
this is what I'm saying.
Yes. And quiet as kept, he was even interested or approached to running for sheriff in 2020. So here it is. You're not, so
You're not a voter.
That's just what
But you want somebody to vote for you.
You want somebody to vote for you.
Celebrity.
You don't go and take your black crusty behind somewhere and sit down.
Your celebrity gets you the vote, and you don't believe in.
You better. Set your black crusty behind down.
You say
That's
sad.
what you need to
That's
do.
why I wanted to repent on his behalf, because
Listen, he got to go to the well for his own self, honey. Ain't no coming through this way. I am not the priest, and we all go to Jesus for our own cases, huh? Yeah. No, ma'am.
Well, right now he's trying to redeem.
How?
He has partnered with. He's joined Michelle Obama's campaign, When We All Vote. So he's out trying to encourage others to. I guess before now, during the registration time, when all the booths were on the ground, to encourage people to register to vote. He was out there trying to push that, and that's the reason why he came forth to say that he was a first-time voter. But let me say this: during my time being on the ground, encouraging people to vote, I too ran into some individuals that I deemed prestigious in the community, and found out that they were not registered to vote.
What?
Yes.
You say prestigious in the community?
I did.
They need to sit they crusty behind down too.
I did. And I was very shocked. And I had to use my words very wisely.
Monkey mess. Did you say this is a monkey monstrosity?
I did, and I gave them a voter registration card. I sold a Vote Baby Vote shirt in their live, and I said, please do yourself and your children's children some justice by filling out this voter registration form and vote.
This is a mess.
And we're out here crying out for reparations, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want reparations, right? Give me how many acres, 40 acres and a mule? Is that it, Libby? We want reparations, right? But
look like they want 500 billion. Now I can't keep up.
But one of the things I do want to bring to everyone's attention that we are very proud of is the numbers of early voters that are making it to the polls. Roland Martin, everyone knows.
They're coming out. They're coming out.
We started out talking
they're coming out, and people making their own judgment.
Yep. Yeah. Roland Martin was in tears. Because when he went to vote, the voter registration line was wrapped around the church yard in Texas, and he was just at awe of how many people were out there. People are standing in line for 2 to 3 hours. They are committed to voting early. So good job, everyone, for getting out there to vote. Oh, I see you, Tia.
we know this has been crazy for years. If you didn't vote before and don't vote now, move to another country, please.
Right.
Get on out.
Becky, y'all out. She said you're being evicted.
I'm putting you out. Listen, you won't notice.
Right. Y'all go wherever y'all gonna go have your own kumbaya. But
right. Because if Trump make it in, y'all ain't gotta go nowhere. I'm going somewhere.
Listen, I need a new passport to another country.
Right.
I don't think I can pass for being a Nigerian or something. I got to get in somewhere.
And the other country, the other country's not gonna want us.
We gotta beg our way in. Y'all understand? Y'all see what we dealing with.
No, they're gonna say, where your COVID test? They're not playing. Meanwhile, when you're voting, please make sure that you vote wisely, because you know what? Let me just go ahead and let you know, give you something to holler about. Kanye West is already talking about get the West Wing ready.
Baby, listen here. Everybody come close.
Come on, baby.
Come
I'm
close
just
to the
telling
screen.
you, vote wisely.
Come close to the screen. What we're not gonna do is entertain clown number 2. The baby is sick. The baby is sick, And we cannot even discuss nothing the sick baby is saying.
That's
Well,
right.
to his defense, he saw some misleading data within the polls in Kentucky that showed that he was leading. And so he's very excited. He got very excited and said, "Get the ring ready, baby."
Yes. And and that's okay. The baby's sick, and it's all in the baby's mind. And the West Wing is gonna be right there in that little ranch house he got, or whatever he got mansion out there in the West, and that's okay. He can do whatever he wants to do with his money, but it ain't gonna be over there at 1600 Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Now, and the West Wing may be in. He may be in.
Libby, what's the address?
1600 Pennsylvania. Listen, he may have a West Wing at one of these hospitals. We send up timber on his behalf. Do you hear me? We send up timber on his behalf. No, ma'am. Don't you dare.
God have mercy.
But all seriousness, it has been really, really inspiring to see the lines.
Yes.
Early voting. It has been very inspiring to see how people are, and how people have been patient. We have not heard any bad stories of people being violent and crazy. You know, of course, the waits have been long and crazy and bad. Oh, for those of you who are watching, if you're in Fulton County, State Farm Arena has 300 machines.
Yes,
and people are going to vote. They're getting in and out. So if you're in Fulton County, just take yourself down to State Farm Arena. They have enough room for you and enough machines that are working. They have not had any problems with their machines. So please do go. If you want an early vote and you look at the news and seeing all these lines and you're being discouraged, do not be discouraged. Go down to the State Farm Arena and cast your vote, and do it now. Polls are open 7 to 7.
Yes. And if you're in the city of Stonecrest, we don't have an arena with 300 machines, but we do have a former Sam's building where you can go over and vote there. Well, you can meet me there on Saturday, and I will have snacks for you while you wait in the line.
I like that. Snacks.
Right.
Me and the Christmas Center will have snacks to the polls on this Saturday. Yes.
I like that. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining tonight.
Do you see this comment? He won't make it to the side gate of the White House.
Oh my God.
Okay. Before we close, I want to say there's a reason we're wearing pink tonight.
Yes.
And it shouldn't just be assumed. And I've got my pink ribbon and pink earrings, right? But we want to bring awareness to breast cancer. And I think, Becky, your mother is a survivor. Praise God. And many of us know and have family members that are survivors. And so we want to celebrate those that have made it through, and then those that have gone on. But certainly to bring an awareness to our community that is infected in disproportionate numbers. So get your breast exams, get your mammograms, and stay healthy. So we've got some threats out here against us, not just COVID-19, but this breast cancer is a serious threat to our lives and our livelihood.
Yes.
So I wanted to say that, Pastor Eve.
Oh, no problem. Yes, ladies and everyone watching, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and early detection saves lives. So make sure that you go out and make your appointment and stay ahead of your mammograms. And so pretty much that's all we have for you tonight. And we thank you so much for joining the Grown Folks Table podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We're on all podcast channels. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to our email list. We have a subscription right there on our Facebook page. So for those of you that clicked in and watched us live, we would love for you to subscribe to our email list. And we would love to hear from you. And tell us how you're enjoying the show. Tell us how you're enjoying pulling up to the Grown Folks Table every other Thursday night. Well, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.